Good morning, students. In this session is a continuation of previous class. What we have discussed in a previous class: history, first unit, society and culture in ancient Tamilagam, the Sangam age. What is the meaning of Sangam? The time span, then sources, the three great kings, all the things we have discussed in a previous class. Today we are going to see that Sangam Palati and that the Thinai and the Kalapras. We are going to see one by one. First, that Sangam Palati. Which are the things is given under the Sangam Palati? That kingship, court, army, law and justice, local administration, important towns, status of women, religious beliefs and the social divisions, dress and ornaments, arts, occupation, festival and entertainment, then trade. So these are the things we are going to see one by one. If we take kingship, we know kingship means that king. How did they rule the place? How did they call the king in an ancient period? We will see. So the kingship was hereditary. The king was called Ko. How did they call? They called as Ko. It's derived from the word Ko. So which are the names they used to describe the kingship? Vendan, Mannavan, Kotravan, Iraivan. These are the words they used to describe the king. Then, how did they title that word? These are the words they used to title that address the king. So, one who that eldest son of the king, they have a right to rule the kingdom. So, that eldest son only has the rights. So, the eldest son of the region king generally succeeded to the throne. Then the coronation ceremony was. So, how did they celebrate that festivals? One who, what is that? Overcome to take the throne, that festival, the coronation festival, it's known as Arasu Kattilerudal. How did they use? Arasu Kattilerudal or Mudisudu Villa. Mudisudu Villa. These are the words used to describe the coronation ceremony. The next, the crown prince was known as Komakan. So one who got the chance to rule the place, that crown princes, they call Komakan. So after their youngest son or daughter, they called as Ilango or Ilanjaliyan. That names used to describe the eldest Ilango and Ilanjaliyan. Then the king held a daily darbar. So now we are discussing about the kingship only. So what are the duties of the king? That king held a daily darbar. He won't attend the darbar to discuss the problems, to solve the problems or meet the people. That's why daily he attended darbar, at which he heard and resolved all the deputies. Deputies means the problems, solve the problems. So how did they get the income? So the income to the state was through taxation. So they are getting the income from the transaction only. So which are the taxes they collected? That land tax was the main source of the revenue, as it was called the Irai. So land tax is the main source for the income of the kingdom. So the tax called Irai. So not only the land tax, they collected the state collected tolls, customs, tributes and the fines. So from that amount only they run the kingdom. The next, the kings and soldiers wore the heroic anklet. What are the dresses they use? The kings and the soldiers, they use that heroic anklet, that's called Veera Wal. That called Veera Wal. One of the anklet, the name and achievement of the warrior were lands. So one who wore that anklet, in that anklet they mention that name and the achievements. If we see that anklet, they can see the king's name and his achievements. Then they use the spice also. The spies were used not only to find out what was happening within the country. So, if we see any old movies or any other movies, epic movies, we can see that the king personally appointed the spies. For what they used the spies to, what is that? What was going inside the country or outside the country, they find out the happens. So, they are using the spies to understand, what is it, to find out the what happening inside the country and the foreign countries also. Then, if any one king got the wound on his back, they felt very disgraced, because if we go to the battle, they want to get that wound in front of that face only. So they didn't like to get the wound on his back. So one who got the wound on his back, what happened? There were instances of kings fasting unto death. So they are following the fasting unto his death. They had suffered such a wound in the battle. So if anyone got the wound on his back, they are getting, what is it, they are doing the fasting unto their death. So king, from the kingship we have discussed about which are the names to use to address the kings, then what are the duties he did, then how did they get the income, then which are the dresses they used, then how did they use the spice, and why did they use the fasting. So next one, we are going to see the court. You know very well, the court was called as Arasavai. So the court is called as Arasavai. Then the king occupied the ceremonious throne in the court. That seat, that place, it's called Aryana. So that ceremonious throne in the court called Aryana. In the court, the king was surrounded by officials. So when we see that court scene in a movies, we can see that the king is sit under, what is that? Under the, what is that? In the middle of the place, around him, they can see many officials, the distinguished visitors, the court poets. They are sitting around the king. He was sitting in the top of the middle of the court. Around him, many officials, visitors, distinguished visitors, the court poets, they were sitting around the king. So, the rule had 5-fold duties. If you see the court, they use the 5 important duties. What are the 5 important duties they did in the court? The first one is the encouraging learning. So, one who interested to learn, they are encouraging. They were encouraging the learning. The next one is performing rituals. They use the rituals. They follow the rituals. Third one, presenting gift. One very poor or any poets, they came to the court to ask that present means they are giving the presents. So third one is presenting gifts. The fourth one is important thing, protecting the people. One who suffer lot, the king has a rights to protect the people. This is the fourth one, important one. Then fifth one is punishing the criminals. So one who did the mistakes, that king gave the severe punishments or the, some other punishments. So these are the 5 important duties they did in the court. Then ambassadors were employed by the king. Ambassadors, one who came from the other foreign countries, they appointed as the in their court, ambassadors. They played a significant role. Important role. They played the important role. The king was assisted by a number of officials. The king only not ruled the places. The king was assisted by many officials. So they were divided into 2 groups. They were divided into Aimberungulu means that 5-member committee. So the king appointed the 2 important clue, that means Aimberungulu and the Enbadayiram. Enbadayiram means that 8-member group. So 5-member group and the 8-member group. He divided the crow into 2 divisions. That first one is Aimberungulu, that next one is Enbadayiram. The next we are going to see the army. Same thing. Already we have discussed, they used in an ancient period, they divided the army into 4 divisions. What are the divisions? The infantry. Infantry means the soldiers. The cavalry, that horse means that elephants, that elephant people. Then the chariot force. Chariot means the cart. So here they divided into 4 divisions: infantry, cavalry, elephants and chariot forces. Then the army was known as Padai. So how the court was called Arasavai? Same thing, army was called as Padai. So the chief of the army was known as Thanai Thalaivan. How did they call the chief of the Padai? Thanai Thalaivan. The prominent weapons used during this period were, already we know that in a Sangam age was the Iron Age, because they used the weapons made up of iron. So what are the things they used? That sword, Kedayam, that means shield, then Damaram, the spears, bow and arrow. So these are the things they used in their armies made up of the iron. The Damaram is mentioned as a missile to be thrown at the enemy from a distance. Now we are using missile, that's the same thing they are used in an ancient period also, that's called Damaram. That means one who want to attack the people in a far away, they use that Damaram. Then the place where the weapons were kept was known as Padai Kotil. So where they store the weapons, that place called Padai Kotil. So the forts were protected by deep moats and trenches. So that fort, that palace was protected by the moats and the trenches. Moats means they use the drainage. What is it? The dirty, they dig the hole around the places, around the palace or around the fort. They use the moats and the trenches. So the war drum was worshipped as a deity. Deity means God. So what they use that war drum. They use the war drum, was worshipped as a deity. So next one is law and justice. Already we know that king only give a justice to the people in the court. So what are the law and justice they followed? The king was the final authority for appeal. Then in the capital town, the court was, justice was called Avai. If we see the capital, that place called Avai. So in the villages, they call Mandram. So each and everywhere, people they can easily get the law and justice from the king. That's why they separated the city and the village. In a city that's called Avai, in a village that's called Mandram. So served as a place for dispensing justice. Punishment was always severe. One who did a mistake, they had given a severe punishment. What are the punishments? See, execution. Execution means killing. For order for the theft case. Any theft cases had happened in this past, they are given a killing. The next one, the punishment awarded for other crimes. Not only the theft case, they are giving the punishment for other cases also. What are the punishments they have given? The beheading. Beheading means they remove the head from the body. Beheading. Then mutilation means, what is that? Injury of the offending limbs of the body. They are removing or giving an injury in the limbs of the body. Then torture and imprisonment and imposition of the fines. They are collecting the fines also. So in the beginning, they had given a severe punishment for all the cases, theft case and also the other cases also. The next one, local administration. How did they, what is it, classify the administration? Now we are, what is it, classify country, then state, district, city, we are divided the administration. In the beginning, how did they, what is it, divided the administration? The entire kingdom was called Mandalam. So, entire kingdom was called Mandalam. Then Mandalam divided into Nadus. So, the Mandalam divided into Nadus. Then again, the Kuram was subdivision of Nadu. Kuram. It's the subdivision of Nadu. If we say Kuram means, what is that? Perur, Sirur. Perur means it's a big village. Sirur means a small village. And Maduvur. Maduvur means in a old village. Maduvur. So, Sirur, Perur, then Maduvur. Depending upon its population, size and the antiquity, they divided the administration based on the population and the size and the antiquity. Next, Pattinam. Why did they use that word Pattinam? Because it was a name for the coastal town. When we can see the coastal towns, that's called as Pattinam in the beginning. Then if we see the harbor places, that's called Puhar. Pattinam means coastal town. Puhar means it's a general term of the harbor towns. The next one, important towns. Already we have discussed about the places. Important towns means Puhar, Urayur, Korkai, Madurai, Musuri, Vanji, Karur and Kanji. These are the towns are very important in a Sangam age. The next one is the land was classified. So now we have discussed about the administration. They divided the place according to the size and population. The important towns also we have seen that. So how did they classify the land? It's classified according to its fertility. So they divided the lands based on the fertility. How did they classify? It's very important 5 mark. When we go to the higher classes, you can study in a Tamil. So you can understand it's an important thing. Tinai. How did they classify the lands based on the fertility? The first one is Kurunji. Kurunji, Mullai, Marudam, Neidal, Palai. Based on the fertility, they divided the lands into 5. First one is Kurunji. That landscape was hilly region. Hilly means hill stations. So hill region. What is their occupation? Hunting and gathering. Hilly means, its main occupation is hunting. So hunting and gathering of their occupations. How did they call the people? They use the word Kuravar, Kuratiyar. How did they call? Kuravar and Kuratiyar. Deity, already I said deity means God. So who was the god of the Kurunji? Murugan. Murugan is the deity of the Kurunji. So Kurunji, the landscape is hilly region. Occupation is hunting and gathering. People called as Kuravar, Kuratiyar. Deity was Murugan. Second landscape is Mullai. Mullai means it's a landscape of forest region based on the forest. So forest means we know very well that's the occupation is herding. They are herding the animals. So how did they call? They called as Ayar, Aichar. Already I said Ayar means it's described that shepherds. So that's why they call Ayar and Aichar. Their deity was Mayo. So their deity was Maya. One more time, Mullai landscape was forest region. Occupation is herding. People called as Ayar, Aichar. Deity was Maya. The third one is Marudam. So that Marudam's landscape was riverine tract. That means plains. Riverine tract means plain, normal plains. So their occupation is agriculture. So plains, that main occupation agriculture only. So how did they call the people? Ulavan, Ulathiyar, that farmers. Then the deity was Indiran. One more time, Marudam landship was riverine tract, plains. Occupation was agriculture. People called as Ulavan, Ulathiyar. Deity was Indiran. Then fourth one is Neither. That landship was coastal region. Coastal region means that seasides, okay. So their main occupation is fishing and salt making. They make the salt. So fishing and salt making was the main occupation of Neither. The people called as Paratavar and Nulathiyar. Paratavar and Nulathiyar. Their deity was Varunan. So one more time, Neither landship was coastal region. Occupation was fishing and salt making. People called as Paratavar and Nulathiyar. Deity was Varunan. That last one is named Palai. Palai, that landship was parched land. Parched land means it's a dry land. We can see the sand only. So parched land, occupation was heroic deeds, because in a parched place we can't do any other occupation. So their main occupation was heroic deeds. Then the people called as Maravar, Marathiyar. The deity was Kotravai. So one more time, Palai's landship was parched land, dry land, occupation is heroic deeds. People called as Maravar, Marathiyar. Then deity was Kotravai. So you just understand clearly about the Tinai, 5 Tinai. We can see, they can ask the maybe detailed questions. So read clearly about the Tinais. So next one is status of women. This is also important one. Status of women in a Sangam age. How did they treat the people in a Sangam age? You know very well, when we have studied about the Vedic culture, they didn't give importance to the people, women. But if you see in a Sangam age, there were no restriction for women in social life. There were no restriction. Whatever they like, they can do. They got the rights to do their works. So there was no restrictions for women in social life. Next, there were land and wise women. They have a freedom to what they like to learn. So there were land and wise women. 40 women poets have lived and left behind their valuable works. If we see in a Sangam age, we can see the 40 women poets. How many? 40 women poets have lived and left their valuable works. The next, marriage was a matter of self-choice. If they like, they can marry someone. What who likes, they have a freedom to choose the partner. So, marriage was a matter of self-choice. However, chastity means karpu. In Tamil we are using karpu. So, chastity was considered the highest virtue of woman. So, they strictly follow that chastity, karpu. Then, son and daughters had equal shares in their parents' property. So, each and everyone, man or woman, son or daughter, each and everyone have a equal rights to get the parents' property. So, this is also one of the detailed questions, status of women in a Sangam age. One more time, there were no restrictions for women in a social life. There were land and wise women. The 40 women poets had lived and left their valuable works. Then marriage was a matter of self-choice. However, chastity was considered the highest virtue of woman. Then sons and daughters had equal shares in their parents' property. What are the women poets of Sangam age? Already I said 40, but important, prominent women poets. Avvayar, Velli Vidiyar, Kakai Padiniyar, Adi Mandiyar, Ponmudiyar. So these 5 women poets were famous in the Sangam age. One more time. Avayar, Velli Vidiyar, Kakai Padiniyar, Adi Vandirayar, Pon Mudiyar. Next, we are going to see the religious beliefs and social divisions. Religious beliefs and social divisions. Religious beliefs. When we have discussed about the Thane, we have discussed about the deities Murugan, Mayon, Indiran, Varunan, Kottavai. We have discussed. So, the primary deity of the Tamil. What is the primary deity? It's a Seyon or Murugan. Was Seyon or Murugan was the primary deity of Tamil. Then other gods, already I said, during Sangam period were Sivan, Mayon, Indran, Varunan, Kottavai. They were famous. They used the hero stone worship was in practice. Hero stones, already I said, it's a natakal. Natakal means the ancient Tamil had a great respect to the heroes. They had given a huge respect to the warriors, soldiers, people. So one who died in the battlefield, they used that hero stones or natakal. The hero stones were erected to commemorate heroes who sacrificed their lives in war. For their purpose only, they used the hero stones or natakal. So in their period, they worshipped the hero stones. Then not only these deities they followed, they used that Buddhism and Jainism. Buddhism and Jainism also coexisted. The next, we know very well, in a way, when we have discussed about the Vedic age, we have discussed about they follow the Varna system, caste system. But if we see in our Tamilagam, the caste did not develop in a Tamilagam as it did northern India. So when they followed in a North India caste system, if you compare with the Tamilagam, they didn't follow the caste systems. Then Varna system, already I said Varna system means based on their occupations, they classify the people. Varna system. That also came to the Dravidian South comparatively late. So we follow the Varna system at the late only we follow. The next one is dress and ornaments. Which are the dress they use? Which are the ornaments they used? They used that rich people, they wore the muslin. Muslin means it's a thin cotton cloth. They used to use that curtains and the dresses. That rich people only use the muslins. It's a very thin, transparent cloth. Then muslin, silk and fine cotton garments they use. If you see the poor people, that normal people, common people, they use the 2 pieces of cloth. So in a rich people, they use different types of garments, but in a poor people, they use the 2 pieces of the cloth made up of cotton. The Sangam literature refers to cloths. If we see the Kalingam, it's described about that, it's a ornaments, which were thinner than the skin of the snake. So they use it's very thinner of that skin of snakes. Then the women adorn their hair plates with the flowers. So they use the flowers in their hair plates. Next, both men and women wore a variety of ornaments. Not only the women, the men also wore the different types of variety of ornaments. They were made of gold, silver, pearls, precious stones, beads. So made up of silver, gold, shells, beads, they use the ornaments. Then the people were found of using aromatic perfumes. In an ancient period also they used the perfumes. The next one is art. What are the arts they use? Iyal, Isai, Nadagam. The 3 Muttamil, they are given more importance to the Muttamil, Iyal, Isai and Nadagam. There were many references to variety of musical instruments such as drum, flute, yard. They use the drum, flute, yard. These are the instruments they use. Then Karigalan was master of 7 notes of music. Karigalan, one who built the Kalanai, he was the master of 7 notes of the music. Then singing bats were called Panar and Viraliyar. That poets, one who sing the song, they call the Panar and the Viraliyar. Dancing also was performed by the Kanikayar. So one who sing the song, they call Panar and Viraliyar. One who performing dancing, they call the Kanikayar. Then Kuthu, the folk drama was the most important culture practice of the people in a Sangam age. Kuthu, that drama, folk drama. They developed the concept of Muttamil, Yal, Isai and Nadagam. Then occupations. Already I said occupations, hunting, gathering, herding, agriculture, fishing, salt making, all the occupations are famous. If you see that weaving was the most common part-time job of the farmers. Weaving, it's a most common part-time job. But some of the people, they had a regular job of many of the others for weaving. Next one is festivals and ornaments. The people celebrated several festivals. In a Sangam age, they celebrated many festivals. Among them, the harvest festival, they call Pongal. It was very famous. Here today also, in a current time also, they are celebrating the Pongal. Then festival of spring, Kartikai, these are Indra Vila, they are celebrating many festivals. And how did they enjoy their periods? The amusement parks and the games. They used the amusements and the games. They included dances, festivals, bullfights, cockfights, dice, hunting, wrestling and playing in the swings. The children, they used the toy cart and the sand houses made up by them. Next one, trade. Trade business, they are using the trade between the local, overland and overseas. So, the extensive of lucrative foreign trade the Tamilagam enjoyed during the period stand testimony to the fact of the Tamils had been great seafarers. So, when we are here about that word, we can easily understand that seafarers, they famous for the seafarers means the merchant, one who travel around this one place to another place by the sea, that merchants called the seafarers. So they were, what is that? It's a proof. We can see the proof of the seafarers. Then the warehouses. Warehouses means where the people store the things, that called the warehouses. The lot building, that's called the warehouses. They use the warehouses also. Then chief ports had a lighthouses. If we see that fort, we can see the lighthouses. Then caravans of merchants. They use the caravans to carry the things one place to another place. They use the oxen, driven carts also. So that barter system also prevalent in this period. The next one, if we see the trade means, we know very well in a Madurai, they use the two types of markets, Nalangadi and Alangadi. Nalangadi is the morning market, Alangadi is the evening market. So there were two kinds of markets and bazaars in the leading cities like Puhar and Madurai. So next one, we are going to see that major ports. What are the major ports in a Sangam age? Mussoorie, Tondi, Korkai. These are the places of major ports. Then what are the things they exported? The salt, pepper, pearls, ivory, silk, spices, diamonds, saffron, precious stones, muslin and sandalwood. These are the things they exported to the other countries. Then what are the things they imported? The main imports was tobacco, tin, glass and horses. So it's a proof it's given. In the beginning, the silk supplied by the Indian merchant to the Roman Empire. So we are exported the silk also. So was considered so important that the Roman Emperor Aurelian declared what he declared, the Roman Emperor Aurelian, it's declared it to be worth its a weight of gold. So they are ready to give a gold weight of the silk. They are giving to give a gold. Then Musri was the first emporium. First emporium means it's like a supermarket. So Musri was the first emporium. The Roman writer Pliny, the elder writes of Musri in his Natural History as the first emporium of India. So in his book he mentioned that Musri was the first emporium of India. The temple of Augustus was built at Musri, which had a Roman colony. So they built the temple for Augustus. Then the papyrus document of 2nd century BC records the agreement between two merchants, shippers of Alexandria and Musiris. So in the papyrus documents or it's available too. It's a proof of agreement between the two merchants. So in a ancient period, we have a agreement with the other countries also in a in Alexandria and the Musri. The next one, trade contact with the overseas countries. Which are the countries they used for the imported and exported? That's Greece, Rome, Egypt, China, Southeast Asia and Sri Lanka. So the last one is Calapras. You know Calapras, he was after the three great kings that Calapras ruled the Sangam age. Usually they are mentioned as Calapras period is a black period. But what it's mentioned towards the end of the 3rd century AD, the Sangam period slowly went into a decline. Following the Sangam period, the Calapras had occupied the Tamil country for about 2.5 centuries. So how many centuries they ruled that place? 2.5 centuries that Calapras ruled the places. So we have very little information about Calapras. There were no evidence of Calapras. There were no artifacts or monuments. They didn't give any artifacts and the monuments, but there is evidence of their rule in a literary text. They had given only the literary text only. Which are the literary texts they given? Tamil, Novelet Saritai, Yapparangalam, Periya Puranam. These are the literary sources available to understand the Calapras. Not only this, the Sivaka Sindamani and Kundala Kesi were also written during this period only. So in Tamilagam, Jainism and Buddhism become prominent during this period. Already I said, in a Sangam period also, the Buddhism and Jainism were developed. So in a Calapras periods also, Buddhism and Jainism were prominent. Then instructions of Sanskrit and Prakrit language had resulted in the development of a new script called Vatteluthu. So already we know that in the beginning they used the Sanskrit and the Prakrit languages. So when they used that Sanskrit and Prakrit language have resulted, they introduced the new language that's called Vatteluthu. In the Calapras periods they introduced that new language, that's a Vatteluthu. Next, many works under Padinan Keelkanakku were composed. So under the Padinan Keelkanakku many many works are composed. Then trade and commerce continue to flourish during this period, as well as that commerce and the trade also flourish in a Calapras period. So the Calapra period is not a dark age, it is a portrait. So already I said, usually they are mentioned that Calapras period is a dark age, but it's not a dark age, it's a portrait. So first unit, history first unit is over. Already I said page number 90, map work it's given. You just mark the places in a map. Okay. Thank you dear students. In the next class we will see the next lesson.